Those individuals, Kentrell Galden, better known as rapper NBA Youngboy.
And this goofy might have just blown up Youngboy's entire operation. Hold up. OTS Lil Pap, the same dude who beat a murder case tied to G-Money after sitting down for 5 years, is back in cuffs again. And word on the street is the feds are now zeroed in on who's allegedly been orchestrating these moves. This isn't just another beef spiraling out of control. This could turn into a RICO situation that puts serious pressure on the whole NBA circle. OTS Lil Pap was known as NBA Youngboy's most loyal rider, the type who allegedly handled problems without hesitation. But here's the twist. He wasn't blood or day one family. He was more like the crash dummy they leaned on for the messy work. This latest arrest didn't just lock up another alleged shooter, it cracked the door open on how the NBA supposedly moves and why federal eyes might think they can connect dots back to Youngboy. To really grasp how this spiraled, we've got to rewind to the soil it grew from in Baton Rouge. Let's take it back to the mid-2000s in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The city was tense, different crews clashing over territory and respect. Pap came up on 46th and North Street, known as the Wreck, one of the roughest pockets in the city. He wasn't chasing rap dreams, he was rooted in the streets from the start. And here's what most people miss. Pap was older than a lot of the NBA crew. While Youngboy was still developing his sound, Pap was already active outside the booth. He didn't care about fame, he was comfortable where he was. Baton Rouge in that era was intense. Violence had been brewing since the early 2000s, but things escalated when Boosie Badass started buzzing. Success brought attention, attention brought envy. Different crews wanted dominance, and politics followed. You had TBG, Top Boy Gorillas, founded by Lil Ivy before his death in 2005. Then BBG, Bottom Boy Gorillas, their main rivals. The city felt split, everyone trying to prove authenticity. Now here's where it shifts. Around 15, Youngboy started running with G-Money and members of TBG. He was tight with G-Money's younger brother and began recording alongside them. This was before NBA became a brand. He was just another hungry kid chasing a shot. Pap saw potential early. While others doubted the music, Pap was telling folks this young artist was next. Not because they were inseparable, because he saw opportunity. He pushed Youngboy's name around the city heavy. He even introduced Scotty Kane to Youngboy's music when Scotty had the bigger platform. And that detail matters. Pap's lane wasn't artistry, it was protection. When Youngboy was in sessions or on stages, Pap made sure the golden goose stayed safe. As Pap once said, they didn't have funds for security, so he handled it himself. That's business logic. The connection was transactional from day one. Pap wasn't a childhood best friend. He was an older street figure who recognized Youngboy's rise could elevate everyone. And Youngboy, navigating a volatile city, benefited from that presence. But listen, this wasn't loyalty built on brotherhood, it was strategy. Pap believed Youngboy's success was the ticket out, so he played enforcer. Sources describe him as someone who allegedly moved first when conflict surfaced. When NBA had issues, Pap stepped in. When tensions rose, he responded. That was his reputation. But here's the deeper layer. Pap was never fully inner circle. While others were considered family, he operated more like muscle attached to the brand. He handled tasks, made money, but stayed on the perimeter. Things shifted once Youngboy's relationship with TBG fractured. He reportedly felt overlooked. That's when he branched off, forming NBA with his brother OG3 and others. It wasn't just business, it was personal. Before separating, Youngboy released Life Before Fame under TBG. After launching NBA, he dropped Mind of a Menace and allegedly fired lyrical shots, suggesting envy fueled the split. On the intro, he rapped about how they turned jealous once he started gaining traction. He started buzzing off Life Before Fame, but listen, everything really detonated once family got pulled into it. Youngboy's cousin, Bazilla, was tied to BBG, who were already clashing with TBG while Youngboy was still rocking with them.
Rumors even floated that Bazilla once wanted Youngboy gone, and G-Money allegedly rapped about shielding him from his own blood. Fast forward to 2016, and the temperature in Baton Rouge was rising fast. NDA Youngboy was now at odds with his former TBG crew, and the tension wasn't subtle. The moment that flipped everything was when his cousin Bazilla was killed on November 2, 2016. Bazilla had ongoing issues with a guy named Duca from a crew called Forever Loyalty. Forever Loyalty was closely aligned with TBG. When Bazilla died, whispers spread that Duca and his circle were behind it. That's when the city spiraled and retaliation rumors flooded the streets. Just hours after Bazilla's death, Youngboy and two associates allegedly rode into rival territory and fired shots at people they believed were involved. Reports claimed Youngboy was hanging out the vehicle with a rifle. During that exchange, his associate, NBA Joe, was hit in the neck. Sources say Pap was present during that retaliation. This wasn't framed as random violence, it was portrayed as a statement. But the situation that truly cemented Pap's name was the G-Money fallout. And G-Money wasn't just another rival. He and Youngboy had history in TBG, and G had supported him early on. When Youngboy left to form NBA, that shift became personal. The tension intensified once G-Money began answering the lyrical shots. While Youngboy was fighting an attempted murder case tied to the Bazilla retaliation, G-Money linked with Pablo El Chapo on a diss record titled WNBA Smoke. That track marked G's public response after multiple disses. Then he teamed up with Scotty Kane on Ain't Gonna Ride, escalating things further. Youngboy and Scotty had once collaborated, but their relationship soured, and there were allegations Scotty once pulled a gun during a studio dispute. Let me lay it out clearly. The feud between NBA Youngboy and G-Money wasn't only about music or turf. It had personal roots tied to family tension. G-Money had reportedly been involved with Youngboy's sister when they were still on good terms, and when things fell apart, he aired it out publicly. The disrespect accumulated over time. Youngboy continued sending lyrical shots at TBG, while G initially stayed quiet, focusing on his career. But after repeated shots, G responded. In a widely discussed Say Cheese interview, G-Money made comments about Youngboy's family that many viewed as crossing the line. He referenced past involvement with Youngboy's sister in a dismissive tone. In street culture, that type of public disrespect carries weight. Yet he continued going live on Instagram, openly mocking NBA and signaling he wasn't intimidated. The wild part, he often broadcast from the same studio he would later be killed at, unintentionally revealing his location. After that interview, the feud intensified online. Both traded Instagram shots, and G publicly said he wasn't impressed. Youngboy responded, implying G knew where he stayed and should stop the online antics. Then G dropped Industry, another diss record, accusing Youngboy of switching on TBG and again referencing his sister. He even claimed he couldn't harm Youngboy out of respect for his mother, Sharonda, weaving that into the lyrics. The pressure didn't stop there. G released a Bodak Yellow remix with more jabs about NBA changing affiliations after money came in. Soon after, he went live again, criticizing Youngboy for switching crews and identities. One of G's associates even questioned how could Youngboy stand against them, escalating the rhetoric further. You think you about to do that? Nah, you wouldn't survive. On September 9, 2017, G-Money pulled up to that studio on Dallas Drive to record a feature. His baby mama was pregnant, they'd just copped a new house, and life looked solid. Earlier, she had been helping her move, and later they grabbed lunch together. G was supposed to head back and finish moving, but instead he went to the studio to knock out his feature. According to the streets, NBA had already put a bag on his head through Youngboy's manager, Big Dump. Rumor has it, Big Dump targeted G-Money because he was clapping back at Youngboy too hard. Here's how the night really unfolded. G wrapped the session and stepped out around 11 p.m. The shooters were waiting, and as soon as he left, shots rang out. There are videos of him in the studio hours before it happened, which is allegedly how they tracked him. As soon as he stepped outside, the ops opened fire, leaving him fatally wounded right there. His homie, Fat Chapo, was in the studio and ran out when the shots hit, finding G on the ground. He called 911 immediately, then hit up his baby mama to break the news. G's mom and baby mama rushed over, but the cops had the scene locked down and wouldn't let them near him. Paramedics did all they could, but G was pronounced dead on the scene. The aftermath was chaotic.